Today on How It's Made Dream Cars, the Aston Martin Vanquish, a supercar for your inner super spy. Aston Martin builds the Vanquish at their main production facility in Warwickshire, England. They've been one of the most quintessential British car companies since their founding in 1913. Aston Martin's long relationship with British super spy James Bond began in the 1964 film Goldfinger. Since that film, the manufacturer's association with Bond has been cemented in popular culture. Although the earliest Aston Martins predate Bond, from the DB5 onward, they have been indelibly linked to the famous film icon. You can have your Aston Martin customized, but it's unlikely to come with 007 extras, like a passenger ejector seat or machine guns mounted on the hood. The Aston Martin Vanquish has ultralight carbon fiber body panels and an 8-speed automatic gearbox. With a powerful 6-liter V12 engine, capable of launching from 0 to 60 in just 3.8 seconds, this car updates the legend of Aston Martin in high style. The Vanquish's chassis structure is built from extruded aluminum components, which provides a lightweight basis with the required strength and torsional rigidity ideal for a high-performance sports car. Technicians mount chassis parts on these specialized jigs, which are designed to hold the component firmly in place. Color-coded and numbered for ease of use, the jigs increase the safety and speed of production. Once a component is clamped on, workers can use powerful riveting machines to install threaded studs. These are used to accurately secure components during the assembly process and for attaching the wiring harness. They also provide something called an earth path around the car. This refers to how the car's electrical system is grounded. A technician also applies a bonding agent to the attachment areas. Adhesive increases the rigidity of the structure without adding weight. Employees use specialized lifting devices called assisters to bring the parts of the chassis together. They connect all the components of the chassis with adhesive and rivets. The company's engineers have gone to painstaking lengths to ensure that they have optimized every element of the car. For instance, the engine sits slightly lower in this chassis than in previous models. This achieves a lower center of gravity, a crucial factor in the car's enhanced handling and agility. The chassis structure is a bonded aluminum monocoque, which is part of what Aston Martin calls the car's VH architecture. The V in VH stands for vertical, which means body construction principles that are shared with other Aston Martin models. The H stands for horizontal and refers to systems, such as suspension units and engines, that are shared with other car models. The Vanquish can be easily upgraded with newer components as they become available. Now, technicians position and attach the windshield frame. For the first time, Aston Martin has been able to include a full-height windshield for both the convertible and coupe editions of the Vanquish. Now, the structure will head into a giant oven. This will speed up the curing time for the adhesive. One advantage bonding adhesive has over welding is that it does not distort the metal. It's now time to clothe the Vanquish in its streamlined suit of carbon fiber panels. Carbon fiber is an extraordinary material. It's stronger than steel and lighter than aluminum. It adds torsional rigidity to the car while helping it maintain a low curb weight. Customers can choose any color scheme they wish. Carbon fiber allows designers to create large single-piece surfaces. This means fewer panels, giving the car cleaner, unbroken lines. The Vanquish dashboard is the central feature of its luxurious cockpit. Upholstered in bespoke leather, it has a high-tech center stack featuring a wide array of controls, all embedded in a carbon fiber fascia panel. Here, a craftsman carefully upholsters one of the many elements that go into making the dashboard. He starts by adhering a backing material to the substrate. While the Vanquish may be a work of cutting-edge automotive production, fine hand craftsmanship still characterizes important parts of the build process. Aston Martin has made it possible for customers to tailor their cars to their individual tastes. Buyers can customize every detail, from paint color to leather embroidery. In a nod to the car maker's long relationship with the Bond franchise, this service is called Q by Aston Martin. Even a part this small is emblematic of the way in which old meets new in the Aston Martin Vanquish. While the craftsman may be using old-school handiwork to accomplish this task, he's fitting the component for modern features, like the control switch for the passenger side airbag. Once the leather craftsman has fully upholstered all the parts, it's time to assemble the dashboard. A technician starts by clamping the bonded aluminum frame in place. Then he installs the wiring for the electronic components. He and another worker will install the components one by one, including the speed-dependent rack and pinion power-assisted steering. The finished dashboard will house a wide array of features and controls, including a customized Bang & Olufsen sound system. There are 13 speakers carefully positioned throughout the Vanquish. It took skilled tone meisters from Bang & Olufsen more than 400 hours to make all the necessary adjustments to perfect the sound system. The audio experience remains unchanged regardless of driving conditions, thanks to the use of closed speaker cabinets. These components enhance the system's ability to make highly nuanced equalization adjustments with the help of sophisticated algorithms and multiple vehicle sensors, including an in-car microphone. Drivers and passengers control their Vanquish's soundscape from the center stack. It's the car's high-tech nerve center. Now, a technician downloads the necessary software to key elements of the center stack. Not only does this console control the sound, it allows passengers to use satellite navigation technology, Bluetooth, and phone streaming through the infotainment system. There's an optional camera available which displays a rear view and guidelines for backing into tight spots. The Vanquish features lightweight yet powerful third-generation Brembo carbon ceramic matrix disc brakes. To create the carbon ceramic brake discs, Brembo uses carbon fibers treated with a special protective coating. They chop them down to a specific length and thickness and mix them with a binding resin. The next stage is called a preform pressing. Here, the manufacturers apply pressure to the material in a specially designed mold to create the component's general shape. They call this a green body. For the Vanquish, the discs will measure 16 by 1 inches at the front and 14 by 1 inches at the back. Quiet and effective, these discs stop the car more quickly and last longer than conventional steel brakes. Because of their light material, they also reduce the car's unsprung weight. To convert the green body into ceramic, Brembo starts by carbonizing the component at 1650 degrees. They cool the mold in water in order to move it to the next stage. To create the cooling channel geometry inside the disc, Brembo uses a manufacturing process called lost core technology. With lost core technology, a plastic matrix inside the mold burns out during the carbonization process, leaving no residue behind. Next, manufacturers pour silicon granules into the mold, then heat it up to 3092 degrees in a vacuum atmosphere. The silicon liquefies and infiltrates the material, completing the conversion to ceramic. Finally, Brembo machines the part to meet precise design parameters. Due to the extreme hardness of the carbon ceramic material, this operation requires high-tech diamond tooling. The technicians and craftspeople of Aston Martin have built the parts for this Vanquish. Now it's time to put everything together. It takes 220 man-hours to build this high-performance luxury driving machine. Aston Martin's first purpose-built facility opened in 2003 in Gaydon, Warwickshire. At this station, technicians begin wiring the car. It has electronic control units reading all the car's systems. This includes everything from throttle and brake position to steering wheel rotation and vehicle speed. To minimize engine and road noise, workers install a layer of insulating foam. This, along with the final upholstery, will further enhance the interior soundscape. Next, a technician lays out the wiring harness. It has been warmed until flexible for easy installation. These wires control traction, stability, and many other electrical systems. Aston Martin fine-tunes these electronic safeguards on a frozen lake in northern Sweden before retesting them on specialist proving grounds around the world. On each side of the dashboard, the Bang & Olufsen sound system includes two components called acoustic lenses. These sit flush with the surface until activated. Once activated, they elevate, ensuring a 180-degree dispersion of sound. A technician now prepares to unite a hub assembly with the car's suspension. This forms part of Aston Martin's Adaptive Damping System, or ADS for short. A Vanquish driver can switch between 3 different damping modes: normal, sport, and track. Depending on the driver's choice, the ADS will automatically adjust the suspension settings, transforming from a smooth Grand Tourer to an aggressive sports car at the push of a button. The car's massive all-alloy 48-valve 6-liter V12 engine is ready for installation. But first, the powertrain needs its rear mid-mounted Touchtronic 3 8-speed automatic transmission. A worker joins the gearbox to the alloy torque tube, which features a carbon fiber propeller shaft. The Touchtronic 3 includes a special mode called Launch Control for optimal standing starts. It's now time to install the engine, which brings with it 565 horsepower and 457 foot-pounds of torque. With the installation of the front mid-mounted engine, the rear-wheel drive powertrain is complete. Next, technicians lower the body onto the powertrain, combining them into a single unit. This operation transforms the many components and subassemblies into the basic structure of a car. But there's still a long way to go before this machine becomes a Vanquish. The stainless steel exhaust system is fully catalyzed and features active bypass valves. The muffler is also 22 pounds lighter than earlier iterations, helping to improve handling by minimizing mass behind the rear axle. Here, a worker builds the layers of the center console. This structure houses more than 120 cubic inches of storage space. It also contains cup holders, a cell phone dock, as well as USB and AC ports. There's a surprising amount of interior space in this version of the Vanquish. This is because the dash panel, brake, and accelerator pedals have all been moved forward. Also, the seats can slide further back than in previous models. Speaking of seats, customers can choose whether or not they want to have rear seats in their Vanquish for occasional passengers. A technician uses a hydraulic assister to move the door into position. Like the rest of the car body, the doors have a carbon fiber skin covering the aluminum structure. The steering wheel and other interior elements have been fully installed. The seats are available in various finishes. Buyers can customize the complex stitching and quilting patterns as desired. Next, a specialist thoroughly examines the car to ensure it meets the standards set by Aston Martin. He checks the finish, the paint job, the alignment between the fender and the headlamp, as well as a host of other details before driving it to the next station. This car might look complete, but before a Vanquish can be called an Aston Martin, it must pass a rigorous series of tests to ensure it meets all of the design parameters. Only then can it represent this famous brand. A technician drives the Vanquish onto a rolling road where he tests the car to its full capacity. Aston Martin has already investigated the prototype of the Vanquish from every angle. This includes durability and high-speed trials, as well as high-altitude, cold, and hot weather tests. However, each finished vehicle must meet the same standards set by the prototype. This station simulates a downpour as the driver inspects every inch of the interior for leaks. Contrary to popular belief, the UK is not one of the rainiest places in the world. Even so, this British car manufacturer knows how to keep the water out. Inspectors rarely find any leaks. The Aston Martin wings are precious to the company. A car only gets to wear the famous badge once its quality is assured. At every stage of the build process, the Vanquish undergoes a close inspection. This specialist examines every element of the vehicle inch by inch to ensure that it meets the company's stringent quality parameters. The specialist's name will be printed on the final inspection plate installed under the hood, so owners will know who signed off on their car. A flood of full-spectrum light reveals any flaws in the car's body panels. The body panels have a 200-micron thick top coating of epoxy and glass to achieve the smoothest possible finish. The interior has received the same attention to detail, with a million separate stitches sewn in 7 leather hides. It's taken 70 hours of highly specialized handcrafting to fashion the quilted upholstery of the Vanquish's passenger compartment. Coordinate measuring machines, or CMMs, also scrutinize the car, comparing their findings to the digital designs to ensure that everything is flawless. But it's a person, not a machine, that will be driving the car. That's why an inspector checks every aspect of the fit and finish, even verifying the differences in surface height down to the millimeter. Once satisfied, he drives the Vanquish off the factory floor. In its day, James Bond's souped-up DB5 was lightning fast, with an 8-second sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour. Half a century later, not only does the Vanquish bolt to that speed in less than half the time, it manages to use half as much fuel. The high-tech gearbox can shift between ratios in as little as 130 milliseconds. The car weighs in at just 3,834 pounds. This means that the 565 horsepower engine has more than enough juice to power a getaway. The DB5 may have bonded Bond to Aston Martin, but you don't need Q to tell you that the Vanquish is the must-have ride for the 21st century super spy.